All right, so every week we are recommending a movie to each other to watch. Sometimes it'll be from you guys, sometimes it's us. Last week I was told to watch Bullet Train, so we all watched Bullet Train. Um, and I will go to you first, Eric. What did you think about it?
Dude, I was not, I couldn't have been more happy watching this fucking movie. It was just the action, the fighting, everything about it, the sequence, the shots. It was just fucking cool as shit. Brad Pitt fucking kills it in this
He does.
fucking movie.
He did.
Oh my God.
I think
I loved it every second.
Josh, were you also positive on that? I'm sure you were.
No, the movie's trash. No, I'm just playing. Like, yeah, the movie's fire. What? Like,
Yeah, I know. I wanted to talk the other night when I finished it and then you watched it. I was like, oh my God.
yeah. I mean, dude, I didn't expect it. I just did. I didn't know. I didn't know much about the movie. I'd seen trailers, but I didn't fully comprehend the style they were going for. It so much reminded me of like Quentin Tarantino. Like, if somebody tried to make Quentin Tarantino movies, but they're not Quentin Tarantino, that's what it reminded me of.
And like almost trying to get a PG-13 rating, like
right. But then then every so often they're like, no, fuck it. Like, just go for the
not do that. No, it was such a delight because it's almost like I wanted it to be bad. Like some of the things that they were doing in it, I'm like, all right, when's this going to start sucking? When is it going to start sucking? When is it going to start sucking? And
it doesn't.
It just kept getting, it just stayed good and then hits these peaks that are just like brilliant. And then it had that like, it reminded me of Smoking Aces. Back in the day, did you ever see Smoking Aces?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Reynolds was in that, right?
I believe he was in this one too, which was
he was.
I was almost going to. I would have given myself the biggest pat on the back if I guessed something right before the third act started. I was gonna guess that Brad Pitt was the White Death. That was my like prediction for the movie because there's a line where the whole thread where she loads the gun so that way he'll shoot himself.
Yeah.
So if anybody hasn't seen it, that's we're spoiled. But that's what
spoiler.
We're doing.
Yeah, I'll put a spoiler warning right. We gotta spoil it. I mean,
and she says, "Oh, he only kills people with their own weapons." And I was like, "Wait a minute! The only people that Brad Pitt kills, he kills the wolf with his knife, and then he kills the girl with the poison." So I was like, "Wait. Is he the White Death? And this is going to be like a total fake out at the end." And then I was saddened by that wasn't because I was going to be so happy with myself that I.
But then it was Michael Shannon.
Yeah,
that was fire. I was like, that's the thing. This movie hit me with cameos that I just didn't see coming. I mean, we had Ryan Reynolds, then we had Michael Shannon. We had Sandra Bullock at the end, and I was trying to figure out who the voice was. The whole movie, every time she was talking, I'm like,
"Oh my God,
who is that?" One of my favorite parts of this movie is when the
wolf was Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of this movie is that they do this whole like scene where they're building him up, they're hyping him up, they're showing his past, showing everything he's been through. Like they're hyping this character up. And I shit you not, within like 3 minutes, they kill him off.
Yeah.
They do this big hype up for him and then they just killed him. And I thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
In the panda outfit the whole time, and I'm like, oh
my God,
this is great. I was like, if Donald Glover shows up, I'm losing my freaking mind.
That would have been great. That would have been lovely.
The whole cast there.
The characters of Tangerine and Lemon, just they were. I fucking loved those two together. Yeah. They were fantastic. Just their back and forth, and the whole Thomas the Tank Engine shit.
Oh my
This is
God.
fucking great.
Yeah, this movie had no right with some of the emotional beats that it had. A movie this
No.
silly and this wacky and out there, but like when Tangerine thinks Lemon died, Aaron Taylor Johnson is his name. He's great. Just the performance he gave when he realized that he thought he was dead. And that was so emotional, and then it reversed because he died, and he gives him the sticker, the Thomas the Train sticker, and I was like, you have no right to make me feel like this in the middle of everything going on.
You know, the best part, one of the best parts was I went down. So my friend told me, he's like, I want to score after this, and I'm trying to think about it, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, I'm liking it. It's a high 8, maybe a 9. And then the truck, like, out of nowhere hitting the girl. I was like, no, don't do that cheap ass, like, random truck. And it totally got me. And then it goes back and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And that's kind of how I felt this entire time of the movie, where it's like, oh,
it was a tangerine truck.
Cheesy dialogue is just saved by like great action and like to match the and you're like, oh my god. And then at the end of it, just kind of looking back about how great Brad Pitt was in this movie. Like,
oh my god,
the one-liners were out of here. He reminded me he should have been in a damn Marvel movie.
Yeah,
if you placed that character in a Marvel movie, it would work so well.
For one frame, he is a Marvel movie.
Yes, directed by the same director. This movie's directed by the director who did Deadpool 2. It's funny that he had Ryan Reynolds in for a super short cameo, and
that's exactly what that is. Now that it lines up. Yeah,
it lines up completely. And Brad Pitt, it was so good. I love Brad Pitt, and I didn't always love Brad Pitt.
So he's a I call it like a Denzel type, where yes, I love Denzel as an actor, but he's always kind of the same guy. He's always It's like Ryan Reynolds. I like Ryan Reynolds too, but he's just Ryan Reynolds in his movies
every time. Yeah,
a little like, hey, dude, what else can you do? Yeah, and if you love it, hey, all the power to you.
Yeah, and I do love it. I love him being Ryan Reynolds all the time. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I kind of want to see him do something else. And this felt like Brad Pitt doing something else. Like, not entirely, not so far to either way, but he was definitely like a different version of it, and he was just awesome. I love it.
I mean, he's been on a streak with me. I mean, he did Inglourious Bastards, and that's when I first was like, oh man, like I think I might like Brad Pitt. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was so good in that.
I still need to watch that one.
You do.
Still need to see that one.
You do. It's a great movie. I love that fucking movie.
Fury. Have you seen Fury with him and Shia LaBeouf in it?
Yep. John Bernthal.
Fantastic.
That movie is, and it's around that era. Like he just started doing these films, and I'm like, like this is what I want to see you doing.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say about this movie, I feel like I have one con, and the con is fine. There's CGI in this movie that is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, PlayStation 3 bad.
I think
some scenes
I
that
think
were
it's 100% intentional too. I think it's supposed to make it.
I kind of feel like that too, because you had the money to have these actors in it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I feel like, especially like the train scene at the very end. I mean, it was obviously totally like just cheap CGI action,
and over the top
fuck,
too.
I
Super
loved
over,
every second of it.
When Tangerine, when they do that scene where Brad Pitt pushes him through the train doors and he's out, and Tangerine gets back on the train.
Yeah,
I was cracking up. I was like, "You can't. You're a human being. You can't do that." But it was fine. It was like the movie knew what it was, and I respect that. Like,
too serious, but it hits emotionally, but not too serious at times. Can we talk about the Japanese covers of all the songs? How fantastic those were!
My God.
Fire!
Yes,
I'm gonna download the soundtrack. Oh, it was so good.
So good. Definitely. I'll give a shout out. Thank you, Steve Riley, for that. He was the one that told me, he's like, you got to watch this movie. It's fantastic. And I was like, okay, it seems like it's a murder mystery type on a train a little bit, some sort of assassin type thing. I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then I didn't get around to it. I figured this was a perfect platform to it, and I'm so glad I watched it. It was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I thank him
guess
too
who-
because it made me watch it.
Sony.
And I love it.
And it was Sony.
Sony.
Yeah. Sony. Every like 5 movies, they have a hit.
They hit or miss.
fire
When
movie.
they fucking hit hard.
Absolutely.
No, I love it. I'm gonna watch it again. I got to get my wife to watch it because I think
I
she'll
gotta
really
watch it
enjoy
again.
it too.
Yeah. So